the time, I thought that was like what I was supposed to do. That was my like calling in life, Um, but as I got deeper into it, I realized that, maybe I don't really give as much of a shit about it as I thought. And so I kind of took a step back. So senior year or junior year, I was in like a relatively big band. We were locally known, and we went on like a small tour. We went to Vegas and played shows, and that was really cool. Um, that was a lot of fun. But I just thought that like, I don't know, I don't really feel it anymore. So the day before school started my senior year, I cut my hair off, and that was symbolically for me, like that was like okay, this is the end of that Randy, and now I'm moving into another Randy. So I've had stages in my life where like I need to change something physically about myself so that I can become a new person. And so that's what that was. It was the day before, spur of the moment. I was like, you know what, cut it all off. And I came to school and no one recognized me because like I had the emo kid hair, like the scene hair.
Yo, that was that whole time I was like fascinated. It was like such a huge movement that was going on.
Yeah, but it kind of sucked because we didn't have like a scene at Etowanda. We had like some kids who were like in the middle, but no one who's like really into like hardcore music like I was.
Right.
Like I was, Daniel was, Michael was, a select few other kids, but there wasn't really like a bona fide clique. We had our like social groups outside of high school. We would go to the Nitty Gritty, which was the local venue, every week, and we would just socialize there. And there was like a bunch of older people. Everyone was doing drugs. Everyone was smoking. Everyone was drinking. Yet it was a church. Right.
Whoa.
The Nitty Gritty was a church. It was a Christian church. So a lot of the bands that played there were like Christian hardcore, and like even my bands, a lot of them were Christian hardcore. And I mean, I tried to do the whole Christian thing for a while. I was in like youth group as a kid and stuff. And like I said, like I have this whole spiritual journey that's happening alongside everything else I've talked about. So I talked about my love journey. I talked about like my self-image journey. I've had the spiritual journey where like I was like, my grandma died when I was 14. I think I was doing youth group around like a little bit before that through a Christian church with Michael. But I never really felt the whole, I read the Bible a few times and it's just not, not my thing. So that was going on, right?
And that's right before you started dating Lorraine, right? Because 14 and a half is when you started.
Yeah, and so Lorena's family was Mormon.
Whoa.
Yeah, but she wasn't, right? So like that's all cool.
Sure.
Yeah, but I was young and naive and I didn't see the red flags there. And, her whole family is Mormon, but she's not, right? So one day, like we're grown. Well, we're not grown. Like I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 19. She's like 18. She decides that she's Mormon again. She took her childhood religion, and that was the end of us. So I mean, more or less. But we retained our friendship like after that, like long after that, and she was my best friend for a while, and we don't talk so much anymore. But I still got mad love for her. Like we're cool, But what was I saying? Yeah, so I cut my hair senior year, and that's more or less when I got to know you, right?
Yeah.
When I joined Chamber Singers, because I joined choir.
And were you still in drama during high school?
No.
Okay.
That was like a one and done thing.
Sure.
I did some childhood acting though, like 13, 14. I was in like commercials and stuff because I thought my calling at the time was to become an actor. Like I was a metalhead, but like at the same time I was like, I want to be an actor.
Sure.
That's where the money is, right? And like I think I grew to like attention. After I started getting some, because I craved it so much for those beginning years because no one paid any attention to me. And so I thought I wanted to be an actor, but that I don't know. I decided not to do that, I guess. But and throughout all this, like I was always checking out science's ass, right? You hear people say that like I like science, right? But they don't really like science. They don't know science. They're just checking out science's ass. Like, it looks good from behind. It's like that. It's like the chick. She looks good from behind.
Facts, yeah.
You get to know her, and she's a fucking nutcase.
Yeah.
And that's what science is. But you know, I apparently I like nutcases because I ended up liking science, but I didn't realize that until later. Throughout high school, middle school, elementary school, my parents never really like pushed grades, so I didn't really care at all about my grades. I think I graduated high school with like 1.9. And I never thought I was going to go to college. I thought I was going to go to community college, get an associate's degree in some like business marketing and you know, start a business and become a CEO and become rich. And it was just easy.
Right.
Because, you know, I was young and naive and I was a high schooler. So I did enroll in community college, and I think I quit after a month. So let's say I've graduated now, right? I kind of skimmed over senior year. But yeah. So senior year, you know, I joined chamber singers, and that was cool. It was like a family. It was like my first clique, pretty much. I think, my first school clique.
Yeah. I think it was interesting because when we were in chamber singers, okay, I have this picture, right?
Oh no.
I have this picture, and I'm not going to show it to anyone, but I'm just going to show it to you. The reason I think it was interesting is because we would do trips, right? Because, you know, we would be in this choir, and I mean, it's crazy that you just
the
like
one where I'm at the top on the gate.
That was crazy, but no. Shoot, you know what sucks about iPhones, man? I did not download the picture. It's on my Google Photos.
Yeah.
So I'll have to show you later. But we're on a trip, right? And one of the things about you is that you're so good at, and that's why it's shocking to hear you when you say like, hey, you come from this kind of shy origin and the sense of like, but you always you never wanted someone around the team to have a bad day or bad time. Like, it was you, Logan, always trying to make sure everyone was happy, making sure the bases were killing it. I was like, it was like the foundation of making sure like no bad day was if we did a competition, we sucked, you guys were always like, this is all good, let's get, like, the energy you guys brought to, it was so much fun. And, there was no, it felt like you had no fear. Like, it really did. It felt like you had this sense of like nothing would stop you from being who you wanted to be at that time. It was very interesting that you say this now.
Yeah, you know, and that I think was a new thing for me. Actually, like coming out of my shell and being like just a doofus in front of a bunch of people.
Right.
Like because like I felt like you guys were all like family, and it didn't really matter if I acted the fool, you would still love me afterwards,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. Yeah, so there was a lot of change going on, and that does blow people away when I tell them that like I was this shy kid, because like I appear to be this outgoing person,
Right.
I appear to be an extrovert, but I'm an introverted extrovert.
Right.
I can do it for so long, and then I just need to recharge.
Right? Yeah. So going through all this, how was home? Imagine
I wasn't home a lot. I was always out. I was with my band. I was with my girlfriend. Yeah, I wasn't home, and I didn't like to be home. It wasn't really a comfortable place for me. I had nothing there. I mean, my whole life was outside of there. Like I felt like I had to walk on tiptoe walk on eggshells. You know, my mom ran a daycare.
Oof.
Yeah, so she ran a daycare when my sister was born. So I was 10 years old. She started a daycare from the house, and my dad wasn't really home a lot. But when he did come home, he was always really tired. And it was late, and so I had to be quiet, and like I couldn't be on the phone. Like,
that's the old school days.
Yeah,
you get the landlines, and you try.
Yeah,
you try to get the cell phones. You like,
yeah. But so I did quite a bit of sneaking out, staying over at friends' houses, and you know, just like pulling shenanigans at night.
Right.
You know, teenager stuff. But
when you graduated college, tried the school thing, wasn't the avenue?
Yeah. So I
graduated high school. Excuse me.
Yeah, I enrolled in school, and then I dropped out really quickly because like I had no passion for it. I was like, why am I even doing this? What's the point? So I started working at Vaughn's as the meat guy. So I was selling meat, and I did that for a year, and then it was driving me nuts because I was just by myself behind the meat counter, and I was always the one who was closing, and so it was just me alone, and with all this meat, and I was just like, I'd have these like really deep thoughts, and this is about the time I started smoking weed too,
Right.
because I didn't start smoking weed until I was 18, and I had graduated, and so like I'm having all these I don't know. It was just too much for me, so I quit. And then I worked at the car wash next door. We would I think I worked there for a few weeks, maybe up to a month, like servicing their machines and like doing stuff and I was like, this isn't I don't want to do this. So I quit there. And then let's see, what was the next job? So throughout all this, right? I'm a mechanic, right? So I've been working on cars since I was before I could drive.
Yeah, that's something that was interesting as well. That this kind of metalhead type of like feel, being in music and kind of doing that thing. You guys used to pick me up for school, right? And I used to hear you guys talk about cars and talk about a lot of different things. Because I'm just so I don't know if you guys can imagine this, but like there's a little black kid, right? And like, you have Michael, you have you. I think sometimes Emilio's in the whip. Sometimes I think it's very rare. But like you three, and then I'm in the back, and I'm the last person they pick up, and I'll be I'm always late. I'll be
this guy. We would roll up to his house and like hit him up and be like, "Hey, we're here. We're running late to school." And he's like, "All right. I'll be right out right now." 10 minutes later, Jovonni comes like strolling out of his door, and then we see him turn around and go back in the house because he forgot something. I'm like,
It was hilarious, absolutely fascinating. And so, and I remember you guys talk about cars. I remember you guys would. I mean, the speakers in the car, like just metal music, and I'm just sitting there just chilling, like, hey, I mean, no care in the world, no, like, just okay. I see the boys doing their thing. It was awesome. It was really fascinating to see you guys have this friendship you guys had, and obviously we had a really cool friendship because we were in choir together, and that helped as well. But like, this bond that carried you through this whole time. I'm so curious on how the cars played a role into that. Because were you Michael in your band as well? Oh, no. Yeah, that's just whole dynamic. Your friendship dynamic was crazy.
So Michael was always the cool kid, right?
Right.
He was a year older than us, but he was in the okay. So me and Emilio, he was a year older than me and Emilio, but Michael always had like a big group of friends, and he was very popular.
Right.
But in 7th grade, Michael broke his leg.
Yeah, I remember this.
A tragic accident, and he snapped his tibia and his fibula, and he had to have major surgery on it, and he couldn't go to school for a really long time, and he was just like sitting there with nothing to do.
Right.
And so that was 7th grade for him. So I was like 11. Oh no, 12. No, I don't know. It was through his 8th grade year, right? Something like that. But I had already been playing guitar, and I was already pretty good. And so his mom had asked me to teach him guitar because he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, he's just stuck.
Yeah, he was a skateboarder, right?
Oh, that's tragic.
Yeah, he was a skateboarder. He couldn't skateboard anymore. And what sucks even more is he didn't even break his leg in a skateboard accident. He broke his leg at a bounce house, which are dangerous places, by the way.
Yeah.
I hear about so many accidents in those places. They should be banned. But
yeah.
But so I taught him guitar, and we started a band, and Emilio was our drummer because Emilio was in percussion and band.
Yeah.
And it didn't go anywhere. It didn't last for very long, but it was fun. But Michael and I were very serious about starting a band.
Yeah.
And so we picked up Daniel as a guitarist, and Michael was playing bass. And then, did you ever go to Pixel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what I was hoping you would jump into. Yes.
Oh man, I didn't even. Pixel.
Pixel.
So Pixel was this computer cafe.
Amazing.
By Heritage. Man, we're going way back. I forgot about all.
Pixel was amazing, bro. That was the spot.
So it was me and Sonny Harris. Because Sonny Harris, do you remember Sonny?
Yes, I remember Sonny, bro. Yeah.
Okay, so actually, rewind a little bit to middle school. Sonny Harris was one of my only friends through that dark period of my life where like I was just like a complete loser. Sonny Harris was like one of the kids that became my friend, and he was also a reader. And we had this competition. This like I'll go back to Pixel, but I need to talk about it.
No, do it, son.
So there was this program that all of the schools were doing, all the elementary schools and middle schools were doing, called Accelerated Reader. And basically you like read a book, and then you'd go to the library during lunchtime or on your own time or whatever, and you take tests on these books. And depending on how well you recalled the information from the book, you would get scored. And they would be AR points. So I was a reader, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have the most AR points in the entire district. Like that was my thing. Like I was like, and then Sonny Harris was like, oh yeah, and so it would be me and him, and we would go to the library during our lunch times, and the librarians knew us. We helped out in the library,
Right.
But we would just be there reading books and taking tests on these books and like competing with each other. So Sonny Harris and I had the most AR points in the entire Etowanda School District.
Yo.
In 7th grade, I believe, 6th and 7th grade, and I think he beat me, and I hated him for it. I don't know what happened with me and Sonny, but we stopped hanging out. But yeah.
Doesn't that
Shout out to Sonny.
The beauty of this going back, and that's why I like doing this, is that you start remembering these people, and you just after this you want to just be like, Sonny, yo, did anyone know where he's at? Like, can anyone find him?
That memory was like a brain blast for me right now, like an unlocked core memory. I was like, wow, Sonny Harris. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Achievement unlocked.
But yeah. Okay, so back to Pixel. Pixel was very special.
Man, Pixel.
Yeah.
Everyone was going. See, so the problem. So just to give some little backstory before you jump into this, the problem is that there's 2 internet cafes, right? One is still around. But it's expensive. And the other was Pixel. And my mom and everyone else's mom near West Heritage, right, didn't have the money or resource to drop kids off, and no one to walk that far, and no one to go through that whole mission to go to Netfrax, we called it, right? And so instead, we found this really small internet, busted computers, keyboards that barely worked, mouses that but the owner was the nicest gentleman ever. He would be like, yeah, come in. And it was cool. They had like this elevated platform. It was like really cool. And so we went to this spot because it was the cheapest place around, and that's the only way we can get money, and our parents would let us do this. And the stories, I mean, all summer we would be, I mean, it was just
playing computer games all summer.
Warcraft 3.
Let me tell you what started Pixel, or what started like everyone like knowing.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. You guys invited me.
So Sonny Harris and I would ride our bikes around Heritage. Like that's what we did all summer. That was our thing. We would just ride bikes like crazy. And one day we rode past this place, and it was like pixel.net, and like there was some people out front, and like they were like, hey, do you guys like video games? And we're like, yeah, we like video games. And he was like, oh, you should check us out. And they gave us some free hours on the computers, and like Sonny and I were like, wow, this is dope. So we told everyone about it, and then people started going to Pixel. And I developed a pretty strong friendship with the owner of Pixel. His name was Steve. And Steve was an Indonesian immigrant, and he so a wild character, really excitable dude, but he loved metal.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not. No, I knew you guys played it there, but I never knew he.
Yeah.
Yo.
Because he was our drummer.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So.
Wait, I never knew this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Steve, he's like 24, and we're like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Me and Michael. So me and Michael would play Steve. So in return, Michael and I'm not sure if you knew this, but we went to Pixel for free. Pixel was free for us.
Never was free for me.
Yeah, no, I know, because they had to make money. But even like the Hot Pockets and like
no way, he hooked you up.
Or like we would just like eat them. But like so we like low key worked there, right? Like we would give people time and stuff, and sometimes we would like slip people free hours,
Yeah.
But I guess technically that was my first job, working at Pixel and like managing the internet cafe. And but yeah, we would play there. We'd have band practice there a lot, like at least a couple times a week. And yeah, Pixel.
Dude, Pixel.
Good memories.
I was so sad when it shut down. I was driving past and I was like, fuck. I don't know what happened to him, but
Yeah, they did. They shut down. There's a staffing agency there now.
yeah.
But yeah, real sad stuff.
That Pixel, man. Shout outs. I don't know where he's at, but that got me into the. That's like a different arc, I guess.
Yeah.
But that really started the passion of me in gaming. So,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. It was a big key part in my life. So,
Yeah, for me too. That's what got me like interested in building computers and
yeah,
stuff. And,
yeah.
yeah.
So you're trying to now find your way after college, man. I mean, after high school.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
this is
Yeah,
kind of like
so,
this is the last time I remember you. Like this is last like interactions we've had.
So yeah, yeah. So I think the last time I saw you was in high school.
Yeah,
I think after we graduated, like
we all took
yeah,
flight.
I know you. Like we hit each other up a couple times, but I think we maybe have had 3 conversations.
Agreed.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you go to the reunion?
No, I didn't know anyone went.
Yeah.
I thought it was because of COVID that we just.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a COVID thing.
Yeah, don't you gotta love
I
it?
don't know if I was really all that interested in going.
Fair.
To be honest, because
That's fair.
I didn't really retain any relationships from high school. Not the only relationships that I like kept going were Michael and Daniel. And like, not to say that I wasn't interested in keeping our relationship going.
No, that's life.
That's what happens. Yeah, like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
friendships fizzle out, and like, but you know, like I feel like, you know, you feel like you could hit me up, and I was just like, heck yeah, I'm coming down to like see Joe. Like
Man.
it's been so long, but yeah, and that would be the same for like, you know, quite a few people, like especially the people in Chambers. Like we all had this like familial bond, and that's still there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so after college, I had the job at Vaughn's, and then I worked at the car wash, and I'm like, this sucks. So then I was like, you know, I'm a mechanic. I've been working on cars my whole life.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a tech mind. Like all those years that I was reading and stuff, I was also like working on stuff. And like I had my 2 uncles that I completely idolized, and my grandfather, who I idolized as well. I would they'd fly me out. My parents would fly me out to Colorado every summer, up until I was like 16, and I would work at my grandfather's boat shop. So that was actually my first job. I would work at the boat shop, and they would like have me climbing into the small little holes of the boat, like because I was a little kid and I was the only one that could get to these wires. And like, you gotta take those wires out. And I'm like, okay. And so I learned at a really young age how to work on engines and electrical work and all types of stuff. And both my uncles drove motorcycles, and my grandfather drove a motorcycle, and I'm like, you know, like I need to drive a motorcycle. Like
Right.
my entire life I've wanted a motorcycle. I have so many pictures of myself as a little kid on a motorcycle, but my mom would never let me drive a motorcycle. So, but you know, 18 years old, like, I can do what I want.
There
right?
you go.
So I started working at this real shisty motorcycle shop in Pomona, and do you remember my old car, my old white car?
Yeah.
With the speakers that were
Yeah. Yeah.
I had an '88 Toyota Celica convertible. Convertible top didn't work all that well.
No,
and
it
all the
didn't.
shocks were busted. But man, oh man, did it the stereo sound good.
Was insane.
I had a
Randy's here. We hear him.
yeah, I had a 1,000-watt amp and 2 12s in the back, and like I replaced all the speakers in the head unit, and that thing was just like it was rattling like crazy because it was this old car that was just put together like shit. Like I think my mom bought the car for $300, and like I basically had to build the whole thing.
Right.
Like we had to replace the transmission and the torque converter and do all types of stuff that me and my uncle. So I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and days at my uncle's house in Laguna Niguel, and we'd work on my car, and I'd help him work on his car, and I'm just like, you know, honing my skill of working on cars and all types of stuff. That guy's crazy. My uncle is fucking nuts. Absolute genius. He can explain to you how anything works, and I idolized him for that, and I just wanted to learn as much as I could from him. And so he like I kind of like there's like this he's like my mentor for a while. I was like his pupil, and I learned a lot. But God, I say but a lot, huh?
No, you're good. It's fine.
All right. Where was I? Yeah, working on stuff. So yeah, I started working at a motorcycle shop, and working on the bikes a little bit, but I was mainly managing their warehouse. And so it was my job to like reorganize their entire warehouse of parts and stuff. And I had some exposure to that because I worked at the boat shop during the summers of my childhood.
Right.
And I'd work on the bikes sometimes too.
Tinkering with things.
Yeah.
Trying to see how things work.
Yeah. And so I finally got a bike, right? It was a Ninja 250. They gave it to me. The motorcycle shop did. They're like, here you go. Like it was like this big thing. I came to work one day and they're like, hey, come here. And I was like, I thought I was in trouble. And everyone's like standing in the shop in the garage, and there's this like really shitty busted Ninja 250 there, and they're like, this is yours. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. You got to go get your license. You go get your permit. And we'll teach you how to ride. And so they did. And first time I went riding with them, got in a horrific accident. I was fused underneath the guardrail in Azusa Canyon Road.
Jeez.
I don't know why they took me there for the first time, but I was trying to keep up with. They all had big bikes, and I'm like on this Ninja 250 with like 3 weeks of experience. And so I went down. I was uninjured because I was wearing full race gear with armor and everything.
Oh, so you're doing it?
Yeah, I was good, but I had to ride home like this. They made me ride the motorcycle home, and the bars were completely twisted. Yeah.
It's like you hear these things and it's so funny because you start building it up. It's like, oh, and oh, okay, wait,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that was big for me. Like I thought I was gonna die. I remember I remember it pretty vividly. I was going downhill and I couldn't make the turn, and so I low sighted and I'm sliding across the floor and there's sparks and I'm like, oh my god, there's the guardrail, and I go into the guardrail and like I'm stuck in there, and I'm like, I'm feeling my body, and I'm like, I think I'm fine. And then my boss comes behind me because he was like, I don't know, like a quarter mile behind me, so he didn't see it happen, but he just sees me, and he rolls up, he's like, fuck. He's he's a real hard ass kind of guy. His name was Charlie Hahn. Yeah, anyway, so after that, I was kind of like traumatized by the whole thing. And
sure.
So I'm up there. I'm supposed to be putting together like $100,000 orders because we not only were we a motorcycle shop, but we had our own aftermarket brand of parts, and we would have like shops in China make these parts, and then they ship it to us, and then we ship it to warehouses around the world and shops around the world. And so like I was in charge of picking and preparing those orders, and so I'm like up there, I'm like shaking. I just got in a motorcycle accident, and I'm like putting together these huge orders, and I totally just scramble everything. So I think I sent $500,000 worth of merchandise to wrong areas, wrong places, and so these places are getting like free parts. So they didn't want to claim that like, oh yeah, you sent them here, right? So they lost a lot of money out of that, and I was fired.
Yeah.
But
Azusa Canyon, I don't think that's
quite the road. Yeah, but like it's a great road. It's a fun road. It's not as bad as Glendora Mountain Road.
Yeah.
Which is another crazy road over here in SoCal. But yeah, so after that, I got a job at Guitar Center.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working the accessory counter and pro audio. So I started learning a bit about like audio interfaces and stuff. And I was always interested in music production and recording and because we would go to recording studios to record our demos and stuff,
right,
and bands, and I wanted to get into that, and so I learned as much as I could and bought as much equipment as I could, and started like making trap. So
trap music.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
that's so dope.
Like beats,
Yeah.
I was really at the time I was really influenced by the Suicide Boys.
So
and it's funny because I don't actually think I was fired for scrambling the orders. I was, okay, all right. So think about who I am, right? I'm a metalhead, right?
Right.
I'm a metalhead. I'm an atheist and I'm like very about shock factor,
Right.
you know. So and like I like the Suicide Boys, so I'm like I'm gonna make the most demonic, demented, fucked up song as possible because I was rapping at the time too.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go.
So
I'm finding these clips, by the way, guys. I'm just kidding.
so I decided to write a song from the perspective of the Columbine shooter. So I'm writing this song, and the hook of the song, I still remember it because it was found. So the hook of the song was the voices in the back of my head are telling me to go to the kindergarten, kill all the little kids. And so I like
Yo.
yeah. So no, the rest of the song was just as fucked up, right? So but it looked like a letter that I was writing, right? And so I left it up there at my desk. And so when they fired me, they said, "Oh yes, and one other thing, we found this letter that you wrote."
No way. So they're thinking like it's.
Oh yeah, they think I'm a psychopath. They think I'm gonna like kill people. Yeah, yeah.
Sarah, if you found that on that letter, she's like, "Yep, would have done the same thing."
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, after that I worked at Guitar Center, and then after that, I don't know, I worked at so many places. But sometime around this time, actually as I'm working at Guitar Center, I realized that, you know, I want to go to school. And I so okay, let's go back, rewind a little bit. I was
Sure,
talking
sure.
about I don't know how long.
No, we're good.
We're talking about my whole life here.
Dude, it's
you know,
life, yeah.
It's a long story, but so I had this whole spiritual journey, right?
Yeah.
And while I was working at the meat department at Vaughn's, I had a lot of time that
AC, sorry.
oh, I see. I had a lot of time to myself where I was just thinking, and I was a stoner, you know. And I was also taking Adderall at the time. Because, you know, I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, and I wanted to see if maybe, you know, it would help me function in life, you know. And I don't really think that I did have ADHD. I think I was just a hyper quirky kid, you know.
Yeah.
Because to this day, like I'm like, I want to say I'm very type A, you know. I can focus just fine, you know. And I was a reader. Like
It's something weird about especially drugs, right? But Adderall in general, right? Especially when you start, because one thing about Adderall, and I have when I was in college, one of the things I've noticed is that it's one of those things that like you start off thinking like, oh, whoa, a big shift in your main perspective.
well, it's meth. It is meth.
Yes. So this is where things get really crazy because then I've seen people take like 2, and that's when you start getting really dangerous. And I can't imagine being one psychedelic, but also on Adderall.
Yeah,
Imagine you must be really
I
really in
was
perspective.
a caffeine addict too, so I'm like on copious amounts of caffeine. I'm taking Adderall. I'm not overdosing or
No,
like,
yeah,
taking
sure.
too much. I've always been very sensitive to it, to most compounds anyway. But yeah, and being high at the same time, and behind the meat counter, and I was just having these like I was having these groundbreaking thoughts and ideas, and like I'm having a panic attack behind the counter, and then I'm only broken away from it when someone says, "Hey, can I get a half pound of these crab legs?" Oh, yeah, sure. Let me go get my knife. Yeah, no, I was going crazy. But like the thing that was driving that was like what is my purpose in this life, and like what am I meant to be, like what am I meant to do, like what am I doing here, why am I at Vaughn's selling meat, what's the point, like and then so I had this car. I got a very well, I got somewhat of an inheritance when I turned 18. My stepdad's parents put away money for him, and then he decided to give it to his kids when they became 18. And so I was a kid just like his other kids, you know. He always tried to make things fair between us all, even though I was a stepkid. I was his son.
Wow.
Which is cool.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got some money. I mean, I think it was like $3,000. And I wanted an MR2 turbo. I wanted an MR2 turbo so bad. And so I was shopping for a very long time, like a year up to that point, because I knew I was going to get this money, and I was like trying to fix up my car as much as I could to like sell it for what it was. I think like I said, I think they bought it for like $300. I think I used it as part of the payment for my car, and it was like $2,000 worth of a payment. But anyway, I got this bright orange MR2 turbo, and it made the pew sounds, and it was super cool. Yeah, it was stick shift, and I didn't know how to drive stick shift, so I burnt the clutch immediately. But I loved that car. But the thing was that car, I bought it, and I bought a bunch of parts for it, and like it was really souped up, and I was getting 8 miles to the gallon.
8
miles to the gallon in a I think it's a 1,900-pound car, 2,000-pound car, a very light car. The engine was in the back. It was a 2-seater, sick car. But 8 miles to the gallon. It was not the bee's knees, and it was breaking. It would break down all the time. And so I'm working this job, making $8 an hour. Not even like full. I guess it was. I think I was working 40 hours most weeks, but it wasn't enough to even upkeep the car. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And so the car blew up, and then I said, you know what? Like, get it away. And so I sold it for pennies, and those cars are worth so much now.
Yo.
Yeah, they're worth so much now. It sucks like $20,000 for the condition that was in. Easy. Unfortunate.
It's so hard to see that far ahead, though.
Yeah,
it really
it's
so hard.
I feel the same thing about all my Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yo, hey, I held on some.
I have some.